What's up, everyone? It's your boy Mastermind here with Ohio Cannabis Live. Here with a special presentation for you. I would like to present to you the Ohio Cannabis Expo Business Discussion Panel, which includes various people in the industry in Ohio. We have license holders who are cultivators, who are processors, or vertically integrated companies in this. And we also have our special guest, Jill Shear from McCormick County, who is our moderator. So enjoy, comment. I'd love to know what you guys think about this panel. So let's go ahead and jump into it.
All right, well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Ohio Business Cannabis Expo. This is so exciting. All right, well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Ohio Business Cannabis Expo. This is so exciting. Let's get a round of applause to warm everybody up. Woo! Maybe if we shout and stuff, we'll get them excited. My name is Jill Schur. I'm actually from New York. I'm a partner at Markham LLP. We're a large accounting and advisory firm. We have about 4,000 people throughout the United States, and we have a dedicated cannabis practice group where we facilitate new companies as they're coming into the industry, thinking about it, getting financing, help them with their books, accounting, tax. So I'm so happy to be here. When I saw Anthony was doing this, I reached out to him about a week and a half ago. I called, he picked up the phone, and as soon as I heard him and his passion on the phone, I'm like, I have to be here. And I made it a point to be here. So it's so exciting, and I'm so glad that we're here. I am leading this. Hi, Anthony. Do you want to talk at all? No? Okay. All right. Well, I was saying that when I spoke to you on the phone about a week or two ago, you were so passionate, and I had to make it a point to be at this event. So I am fully supportive of you. So everyone, a round of applause for Anthony for putting this together. He's an amazing guy. I learned more about his personal story yesterday, and he's such an inspiration. So this is wonderful. Anyway, we have a great panel here today where we're going to talk about the transition from the medical market to now an adult use market and the impact on the industry, and what we're going to do going forward to make sure that it's a good market in Ohio. So I just want to get started immediately and have everyone on the panel introduce themselves. We could start over here. Just say your name, where you're from, your background, your feelings about being here, and then you can lay down if you want. No, go ahead.
Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate this. Everyone, my name is Brian Wingfield. I'm one of the co-founders of the Ohio Cannabis Company. We have 3 dispensaries in Ohio, one here in Canton, one over in Wyandotte County, and another one over in Miami County on the west side of the state. I'm excited for what's coming. I mean, we're making history. We're all going to be part of history. This is all changing. This is going to be, something we're going to tell the grandkids about someday, about everything that's happening, what's going on. So I'm just excited to be here and be excited to be part of this whole thing that's going on.
That's great.
You guys hear me? Yeah. All right. Hey everybody, my name is Jeff Korf. I'm the founder and CEO of Galenas. We are a cultivator just located right up the road here in Akron, or not here, but in Akron. We've been part of the medical program from the beginning. We got our license in 2018. We've been operational since 2019. Very excited to the transition to adult use as well here in Ohio. Like Brian said, this is pretty historical for Ohio, specifically since politics in the state haven't always been as conducive to cannabis as some of us like. We're finally here, and I'm sure we'll talk about kind of what the transition is going to look like and how it's likely to shape up over the next 6 months.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Joshua Smith, and I'm the CEO of Southern Ohio Botanicals. I just have one dispensary in Ohio, down in Southern Waverly, Ohio. I'm very excited to see what's to come. Also, I mean, we're making history, like he said. The future is, I never thought this day would be here. So, as a pharmacist also, and to be part of the program, I got in for the medical side, and I may share some of that story with you later, but just to see how cannabis has changed my life personally, and now to see how it's affecting our local communities, all the great things that the program is bringing to the state. So exciting times.
Hello. My name is Michael Wells. I'm with Standard Wellness. I'm the Vice President of Revenue. I've been with the company almost since the beginning. We're a vertical operator in Ohio. We have 3 dispensaries: Sandusky, Springfield, and Cincinnati area. And our mission is to bring safe and easy cannabis to people. And we're super excited for the transition from medical to the adult use program for that reason. We believe it has sort of a limitless effect on anybody who is looking to continue to consume for one reason or another. And yeah, just happy to be here. I was notified about this maybe like 65 minutes ago. Maybe slightly unprepared, but lots to talk about in the transition, and happy to answer any questions that I can from the Standard side. So
solid. Hello, I'm Bill Williams with Bitter Leaves. We are a standalone processor down in Columbus, Ohio. We make the products. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate you guys getting us all together. Thank you all for showing up. Keep showing up. That's the main thing for Ohio. Just keep showing up. Keep telling us what you're looking for. Not us. I mean, not just us on the panel. Everybody in the industry. Keep showing up. Keep telling us what you're looking for. We're going to build something together. We're going to build something together for the people of Ohio. This is awesome. Awesome.
So that's great. Thank you, everybody. And a couple of things that everyone mentioned. This is history. You are making history. And showing up is very important. I watched it happen in New York. I'm watching it happening in New York and other places. I'm sure you all hear what's going on all over the country. So it's very important. You show up. You talk about what you want. You advocate. You can't be quiet about this. You can't just watch it. This is very important. So we have a cultivator. We have some cultivators. We have dispensaries. We have processors. It sounds like everyone's all excited. The consensus is that we're all excited about this new recreational program that's about to embark the state. What are you doing to prepare for it? What are you doing to make sure that you can scale your operations from a financial point of view, from the size of your facilities? What are you doing? Because it's a lot to consider. I mean, they're expecting a 400 to 600% increase in the amount of use, and the revenues are going to pop like crazy, and there's going to be extra requirements, and not everything's out yet. So how are you dealing with this? We'll start again on the over there, and then I'll start on this side after, so I'm not putting you on the spot, but go ahead.
Our team is having weekly, actually 2 times a week, meetings where we're going over our planning. How do we go about staffing? What are we going to do for the flow of traffic patients? Are we doing modifications to the dispensaries? There's a lot of things that we're doing. Not only we've added this whole layer of we're running businesses. Now we are planning for this next. We're also working. We've had the 10B licenses out. They're probably free. So we've just added on 13 jobs that feel like full-time jobs to the normal full-time job. So and we're just trying to get everything together so that when it does happen, it does go smooth. Mike.
That's great. How about you?
Yeah, so in order to get ready for what the program is going to look like when we flip to adult use, we're a cultivator. We're evaluating how expansion this is going to look like in Ohio. They are cultivators set up more than one location if you think it makes sense to do so, and also if you're on a piece of property that's kind of strained, the go to another location. Just license is going to be. So we're looking at that right now. And one of the things that's probably important, I think, for mine is that Ohio is it's just a politically challenging state. And so I think there are going to be a lot of cities that are getting less kind to the industry. And so finding places that can expand, they'll have what we're in place. Is going to be something that is sort of an ongoing problem. And so if you're looking at where all the dispensaries are going to be popping up over the course of the next 6 or so months and wondering why they're all clustered together and why they're not spread across the state, it's because lots of cities got moratoriums in place that are just preventing these steps those cities. And so it's going to take some time for everyone to get a little bit more comfortable with this industry from a recreational or adult use standpoint, and for it to look like it does in other states get there. It's not going to happen on day one.
That's very important, your point about the municipalities. And that's important that everyone shows up and speaks to their local politicians about what they want to happen when they're saying that a municipality is not allowing it, but the neighboring ones are. What's going to happen then, right? The people are going to go to the other places and bring it in to there, and they're going to lose tax revenue. So money speaks. So what we do in New York, we're having the same issues, is that we're going to the municipalities and we're showing them how much revenue they're losing. And it speaks volumes. And we're having everyone there advocate for it. So it's very important that you stay aware of what's going on. How about you?
Yeah. So I've had to be very nichey this whole time because I'm just a single dispensary owner, and come with a background in pharmacy, and just this has been a dream for me to be part of an industry that I believed in and love, and so a big part of what I've been doing is staying involved in the community, speaking at different retirement communities. Even spoke at the Methodist Church to the Garden City Society ladies, and I thought there were going to be 5 people, and there were about 105 people. And so bringing education forth. We have another event that we're being a part of in Southern Ohio called the Community Culture and Cannabis Expo, and that's coming June 27th through the 29th down at the Pike County Fairgrounds. And so really focusing on people has always been a big part of what I do, just in my philosophy of life, and staying at the forefront of answering those questions. So very much like Jeff spoke about staying involved in the politics. There's so much still stigma. Issue 2 may have passed everywhere else, but it did not pass so well down in Southern Ohio. So I still have those challenges from churches and different cultures of people that don't always see it as medicine. And now it's not just medicine, it's coming as rec. But what are the benefits of it being rec and being controlled through the program? So getting back to the education and understanding and meeting people and answering their questions at their level to try to overcome some of the stigma that's been there for years. That's probably one of the biggest things that has been, along with focusing on processes and how do we get ready to take on the amount of patients that are coming, and how are we going to service them and keep it convenient and stop errors from happening so that you're getting the right products and, holding people accountable, and so that you guys can hold us accountable. How do we make the program better? And that those are the questions that can only come from experience as we keep evolving here.
Yeah, that's such a good point. The stigma, and going to a church and going to the community outreach, and really going into just talking to people and explaining that there should not be a stigma associated with this is huge. And I'm seeing it evolve in New York. I mean, when you go to New York, you can go out on the street in Manhattan and you just smell it everywhere, and it's very accepted. It's common. My kids recognize it, the smell. They're like, oh, someone's smoking, and not a big deal. So it took some time, but the stigma is very important to overcome. So what you're doing and going to churches and speaking is doing volumes. Michael, what's your feeling?
Sure. To piggyback on Josh's comment, I think that there's a very high percentage of consumption that is used subconsciously for a medical purpose. And, I don't have any data to back that, but whether it's a medical condition that's recognized by the state of Ohio or another state, whether it's some level of anxiety, social anxiety, sleep issues, cannabis is typically consumed in I think for that reason. More on the question of planning, I know that everybody on this panel and elsewhere in the industry, whether you're a consumer, patient, so a purchaser, or on the operational side of a legislator, everybody's planning and pouring thousands of hours into planning and deploying their teams into planning and doing their best. And I get a daily blog from somebody that I think is kind of clever. And one of the blogs that came across recently was all models are wrong. Some are useful. And I think a lot of people that are sitting up here today might attest to that, and trying to figure out what the legislators are going to do in terms of rule rollout and timing, whether it's retail, whether it's, sizing of units going to market and milligram contents, how much economics are being published by the state versus, what we can predict, and how much are we going to produce, and what does that mean for expansion, and how aggressive, conservative does each company want to be? At Standard, we've spent a lot of time trying to figure that out, and trying to stick to our where we've been our whole time in the market, which is like very controlled and being patient first and consumer first, and it's just there's a lot of challenges. I think every single cultivator, dispensary, processor, everybody's dealing with that's unique and really unknown at this point. So if you're a consumer or somebody that's watching the program, I just say, just try and be patient and ask as many questions as possible, as Bill said earlier.
So one thing I love about this industry is that it's not, we make a product for Smokies. Smokies is a national brand, and we make their gummies. And we've just had a lot of conversations with them, and just, hey, walk us through. You guys have done this in 20 states. Just tell us what to expect. So there's an awful lot of just talking to people who have done it before, and then we just put our Buckeye tweak on it. That's all we have to just keep doing. Let's just figure out what happened in another state. Let's just put our Buckeye stamp on it. We can own it. Once again, this is a tremendous opportunity for everybody here. I mean, this is just going to be great for all of us. But as Jeff said it, there's a lot of people, you both said it, we've got to keep working together to normalize everything about this the industry, the products we're making. It's just about normalizing it all. So keep speaking up and keep telling your mayor, your comptroller, quite frankly, everybody you see, this is something I'm looking for, and I want it right here in my back. I want it in my city. I want it in my town. This is what I'm looking for, and here's the reason why. You guys have a lot more power than you ever could. Even if there was like a barbecue sauce you wanted, you know what I mean? Like, you couldn't go to Sweet Baby Ray's and tell them, hey, I want pineapple in this barbecue sauce. Sweet Baby Ray's will tell you get out of their office. But you can come and talk to each one of us and say, hey, listen, I'm looking for this product down in Waverly, and here's what I'm looking for. And I'm telling you, you'll get it in that store like 2 days later. So use your power. Tell us what you're looking for. Help us make this something fantastic for all.
That's a great point, and that segues right into my next question. When you look at other markets and other places across the United States that have gone from medical to recreational, has there been a difference in the products that people want from when you're cultivating or when you're processing or you're picking your inventory for your dispensaries? Do medical patients, are they stuck with certain types of products that they have to adhere to in certain dosages? And now that you're considering recreation, maybe, you want more gummies or creams or whatever delivery that you could have in this product. Are you considering the expansion of that? And what do you think is going to happen from a recreational point of view? And I'll start with you on that side.
Yep, gotcha. So we at Bentley's, we are completely committed to the medical program. We're not turning our back on it by any stretch of imagination. So the products that people are getting currently in all of your stores, they're absolutely going to be able to get. It's definitely going to be different. The milligrams are going to be different on, say, gummies, for example. But we're still going to have all the products that the people are used to getting. Everything's triple tested. We've got child-safe packaging. You're still going to absolutely get that in the recreational program. So all to say, if people are looking for something, if they're looking for any products we make at any of these at their stores, you're still going to have access to them. It's just whether or not you still want to get that medical card and still get it. It's whatever the state says we've got to do on gummies is what we're going to call it. But we're absolutely committed to the medical program and to all those products to those people.
So at Standard Wellness, we were fortunate enough to be a part of the Missouri transition from medical to adult use. And I would say that what you really see is an expansion of the program. So the bell curve on what products are most consumed and most purchased typically are the same. The percentage just applies to a greater audience. And flower still is in the 50 to 60% range of products purchased. And then the processed goods are on the other side of that. And And what we've noticed though is there's like a continued need for further education on product types. There's a lot of consumers that are just brand new, no different than the medical program in some ways, but you re-encounter this at a much grander scale. So education is just as important, but just to a larger audience. So you see the same typical products of your flower consumed in X unit. You might see pre-rolls in a market like Ohio at some point, depending on the legislation. And those are really the only unique products that don't exist here right now outside of some of the miscellaneous, like very small percentage products. The medical program is limited to mostly gummies and some chocolates in the edible sector. So you might see a slight expansion there, but for the most part, the programs pretty much stay intact, and the percentages between categories just shift between geographic locations is what we've kind of noticed. But you certainly see, going from 160,000 patients to, a population of 12 million, you see a lot more purchases. But for the most part, the program stays sort of.
So you're seeing the same product lines and the same percentages just going up relatively the same when you switch from medical to recreational. That's what you've seen in Missouri for the most part.
Exactly. And the only difference is there tends to be a little bit more of a unfamiliarity with the players, like the operators in the market, because the 160,000 patients that exist in Ohio have been patients and loyal patients for years now, and they're pretty familiar with the brands and the groups that are operating on scenes such as Benelli's, Davidas, and they're familiar with that product. And now you introduce hundreds of thousands of people or millions more people who are very unfamiliar with the brands and the operators and the level of trust between product quality and consumption. And so there's a lot of conversation that occurs in those first few visits to a lot of the new customers.
That makes sense.
Yeah, just kind of piggybacking off of that. There is a great product line out there, and right now, coming from a pharmacy standpoint, I get patients that come in and they're dealing with, we got our indications we're allowed to talk about right now, and then we got these other indications that we know people do use. I think that autism's like one that's still looked at being approved. What I hope to see as it does expand, just because that medical side is so important. I had recently had Holzer Hospital come in, and one of the advocates that a social worker that runs the program said, "Hey, you guys are seeing a lot of end of life patients over here, and they're trying to market to us." And so that goes back to there are some weird things going on with right now where adult use. You're going to see it could be at up to 90%, right, with processing, where we're limited by 77% THC in the product on the medical side, which is kind of an oxymoron to me. But so as we work through some of these issues, at least it is here. And these are baby steps that keep getting us closer to what it needs to look like. So it goes back to you guys, being involved and letting them know, especially if you are dealing with some of those disease states. So I think that Ohio has Bill, Peggy, the people I've been involved with have still kept that medical focus. So you're not going to see, what you've been getting, you're going to continue to get. And we're going to continue to refine. You're still going to see the FICOs, the RSOs, those types of things. And that's really important for those people that are going through that. So we need to keep that at the forefront so that those products can still be delivered and not let the rec just take away those medications. But yet again, on the rec side, it is exciting to see you won't have to drive. So many people are driving to Michigan because prices are better, or they're not able to come into the dispensary. So now it's going to be more convenient. So, that is where I see, and I'm a rec user also. But, it's as we keep going and we can buy those pre-rolls because we're not allowed to now, but give the program time, keep pushing to the powers to be that are locally, come to the dispensaries. I would tell you to talk to the managers, let them know what you think. If you think that you got someone that needs to be involved, whether it's local law enforcement or those type of stigmas that you're dealing with. Maybe you being harassed. I don't know. But I get a lot of different cases in Southern Ohio because there's still it just still comes back to the stigma, and so.
So in general, you expect there to be more product offerings, maybe pre-rolls, things like that are offered, but you're still going to keep the medical, supplies there and everything, consistent, keep the integrity of what there is in the medical market. How about you guys? Any differences that you foresee in the type of products that people will start requesting or wanting? Any other comments on this?
I mean, the big transition in Ohio is going to be pre-rolls. That's the only product large one that we're adding just for the sake of kind of how these categories break down. We're not inventing anything new in Ohio. Most states that go, they pretty much have the same sort of percentage breakdown of what gets sold. So using round numbers, flour is still like 50% of the market, no matter where you go. Give or take, that can be slightly higher, slightly lower, but that's universally pretty much true. And then when you add in vape carts and concentrates and edibles, that's like between 80 and 90% of the market in most states. And then the other sort of more novel categories occupy, relatively speaking, a fairly small sort of slice of the pie. And so there will be new products that don't currently exist in the Ohio market, but in terms of what is likely to get sold the most, it's going to be everything that we've currently got plus pre-rolls. And there'll be new stuff, certainly new strains, new form factors for concentrates. But the vast majority of what gets sold is going to look, I have no doubt, like what it looks like in Colorado and California and Washington and Michigan. It's not going to be dramatically different here than it is in any of those other markets that have been operating for 10 or more years.
Any additional comments?
Not really. I'm going to go on a sidebar on that. Medical cards, if you are a medical patient, if you spend more than $82.50 and your doctor charges you $100 for renewal, it makes sense to keep your card. I'm going to go renew mine on Tuesday. The medical field, I grew up in this industry, in the medical side. I like it. I hope it continues. I want to see the medical patients come through. Hearing the stories, I drive at least an hour to go to any of the dispensaries. And coming in and hearing the stories of how this changes people's lives makes that drive not so bad. The stories are phenomenal. I wish everybody could hear the stories we hear in the dispensaries. It's great, and I hope that market continues to thrive.
I'm sure it will. Yeah, go ahead.
At least out. I mean, you just dictate. Yeah, although I think, but I heard the good. You have to say, and realize that, I go, they spent that first time I went, what it's, I think, take it up, Dolly. Which reason, don't worry about the react that here thing. And met something draw. However, something very telling, you indicator in Dr. Duckman, who said more than half of my patients are using something like this in order to help their life. And this was from a educated sleep physician who's been in it for 40 years, and he given me, and he's in charge of that whole department, by the way. Off the record, he's leaning towards telling me, I guess even the government is considering doing it. I think it'll be a long time, if ever, before I get able to get a unit like that for free as I get all my other medicine, because I'm 70% disabled. And the reason I started on it is because I can't sleep. Right? And I spent thousands of dollars. Tried it, didn't work. Tried away. Tried this, almost, but they should. And that's okay. Fortunately, I'm in a position where I can afford to be trial and error. But the question I have for all of you, if I walk into any one of your dispensaries, let's say I've got the medical cards, the Lord knows I have enough things to qualify for it. What sort of service are you going to provide to me that I I was never do this, but a lot of people are facing, and I know you folks are facing competition from the black market. I have to pay taxes, so of course they can sell it a lot less money. That's a plus. The downside, and I'm willing to pay the premium, is that I want somebody that I can trust, that's certified, that I don't have any heavy metals in here, and that has the proper dosage. Because I can't tell you how many times I've taken out of the same lot under an item and get a level like this. Next time, same lot number. Back like this. Next time, like this. So there's very little consistency. And all of these have supposedly, and I've read them, for what you need to put in an outside lab that can't do quality control, because I control for all the variable. Empty stomach, full stomach, time of the day, other things I may have had. So using myself as the N of one, I know what works for me and what doesn't. So if I walk into any one of your stores, let's try you, that you're the pharmacist here, but I'm walking in.
Are you purchasing this all from a medical dispensary?
With any, from a medical dispensary, I'd say, if I go
What services do we offer to help you? Yeah, and
correct.
Yeah, and then
I don't waste thousands of dollars trying something that is going to work.
Well, I right now, because it is federally still illegal, we have to watch how we phrase things. And so what you're talking about is what's called polypharmacy review. And so I would look at what medications you're currently on. So I do know that cytochrome P450 enzymes play a big part in the metabolism of marijuana. And so some of those cannabinoids can affect, like the viscosity of your blood thinners, and it can mess that up. So I'm going to look at things like that. But even so, that's the same kind of stuff. So at mine, because I am a pharmacist, and then Talon and some of the other people that work for me are nurses, I still take that healthcare approach. But I'm not allowed to say, because I don't have monographs on every single product out there, because it's a plant, and that's where it's different. And according to Jeff over here at Glenis, he grows different plants, and they express differently, and they got different amounts of terpenes. They could be from the same strain. But in general, most of those products are, if it's taken from that same parent, the same strain, and we're given the same consistency, and we got the same terpene profile, and we're able to know that now, because the standards that Ohio has put in there. So when you're able to come there, I can sit down with you, and especially if you're not that first time user, and you, let's just say you got cancer or you can't sleep at night, I'm probably going to try something with a CBN in it, and something more relaxing, probably more what we would old school would be called indica, but it's probably more like myrcene and some of the other terpenes that keep you more relaxed. So terpenes tend to be the driver of how the effect anymore. We've learned that because everything's pretty much hybrids. So
Old variable that none of these things can solve for is how it's going to react to me. How that reacts may be totally different.
Well, I can't control that with lisinopril either. You might get a cough, and what's called the bradykinin effect. If you got high blood pressure, and the very first thing I'm going to start you out is lisinopril. But a lot of times I can't control that. Yeah, you'll get it. So I'll take you over to an ACE inhibitor. So the same kind of thing. It's, we start you in one direction, but we have a general idea and a general knowledge through, and I got most of my education. It wasn't because I was a consumer, because I was really not. I was a preacher and got in a bad accident, got on Dilaudid, and then, used cannabis to get off of it. So I don't have the same information, so I have to rely heavily on them, to provide me with that information, and Bill, and they are the experts. And then we, from patient to patient, we got patients that are keeping journals, and they're saying, hey, this really has helped, and so that information is kind of how we dose. And, I had a guy come up to me the other day. I was out and about shooting pool, and he came up and he said, I want to give my card back. And I said, why do you want to give your card baback? And he's like, I ended up in the hospital last night. I was like, why'd you end up in the hospital last night? And he took the whole gummy. And I was like, and it was too much. And he just, and I was like, did they tell you to take that whole thing after this? And he's like, no, they told me to take this little sliver.
No, you didn't listen.
I can't help if you don't listen, But those are the kind of things. It's like, it's still, would you just because you feel good, it still does bring that intoxicating effect. You're still going to have these things. And so it's not, recreation. I guess maybe you are out partying, you're enjoying it, but there's still limits. Our bodies can only handle so much. And it's not, you do develop a tolerance in time.
What you're saying is that myself or anyone going into one dispensary, if they really want the best experience, they should at least bring in a list of all the medications.
Well, and I'm not going to say that every bud tender is going to know how to do that. They may refer back to your doctor. But with mine, what I'm going to say, if you got that list of patients, you better call my ass because I'm going to come down and talk to you. That's and I'm going to, because of our experience, but it's very tiptoeish right now still in the cannabis field because it's still these federal laws, and so we're still very bound. My license is at risk.
But you're so tiptoeing around.
So it's. I have to say, well, Mary says this helps with sleeping. She's told me that, but I can't say it's proven because it's not. We don't have those FDA studies.
So a couple of things I want to mention. First of all, thank you for your service, and we really appreciate it. And I'm sorry that you had to go through so many medications, and thank you for sharing that question. It actually goes into another question that I have with training employees and revving up for this new market. Obviously, you're going to need more people to handle the traffic. And I don't know if when people go into a medical dispensary, do they have the list of medications and how they feel and what they've tried? And do the bud tenders have the availability and the knowledge and the time to go through the whole profile and say, okay, you're on this, 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 and this. You've tried this, 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 and this. This is how it makes you feel. And, try this and then report back and say how it felt. There's no general system to that that exists right now. And how do you deal with the recreational user that comes in? I remember when I first went into the first dispensary that I went into, I was actually going for my parents, and my mom needed something to make her relax and feel happy. So I went in and I said, my mom needs something to make her relax and feel happy. And I said, and my dad wants something so that he doesn't hear when my mom talks because she nags him all the time. So they actually, so make my mom feel happy and make my dad not care that she's talking so much. And and they gave me these chocolates and they were perfect. But they actually spent some time talking to me about it. And they had like a tablet and they went through the different options and things like that. So are we going to be able to do things like that for the medical patients and for the new consumers that come in and say, hey, I want to feel like this. I want to, some things are even in New York are labeled happy, go get them, relax, chill, sleep, whatever. Are products going to be like that? Or is there going to be
Sometimes so much that, you should roll over in the middle of the night and you wake up with a cranked neck because you didn't move at all. Like I go to sleep and I'm there, which is really nice.
That's good.
A couple things. I like Ohio's program. Are we the best, the most stringent testing in the country? We could argue that. Is it LeBron or Michael better? Ohio or whatever country you want to use or other state you want to use. We have some good testing here. So being on either side of the counter, I feel like I like that. I like the testing. Sometimes things happen and, the cultivators, the processors, I've heard stories of people who use something on a cleaning thing and it was not even in the room there and ended up and had to test for it and it didn't do well for them. And they're all mad about that. But I'm, as a consumer or a person selling, I'm like, you could be mad, but I'm still glad that they catch that and they don't pass that down to me. And so that's things that make me feel good about this program. And that when people come in, if it's going to be on the rec side or on the medical side, we want them to sit and ask us questions because there's a lot of people on our team that we have a lot of training. They have days and days of training. They sit down with, people who've done this. We go through this. We have people on our team who are experts on this and that, like concentrates. Those things scare me. They're way too strong for me. So I stay away from those, but we have other people on our team that do know those kind of things. So they help out with that. And so I hope those people come in. Because if you come in and you have a good experience, then you want to come back. If you're the lady who takes and eats your tincture thinking that it's going to kick it in 20 minutes and you didn't feel anything and you just keep eating tincture, like it didn't work for me. And then you drink the wine and next thing you know, you're calling telling your husband, call the squad, I'm going to die, because you've taken so much pot and now you've drank 2 glasses of wine. She came back and she laughed about it later. But right then she was completely flipped out.
Scared.
Yeah. And so we don't want that. We want to have good experiences. You know, there's many people in my life that like they did it bad the first time and they're never going to do it again. And we don't want that. I mean, there's so many benefits to this for the medical side plus the adult use side. You know, it's a very good way. Like it's a very relaxing product. So I hope we continue to give good consults, that we help people out, because it's a good thing.
That's what it's about, right? Is being able to find what helps that particular person for what they need.
Just this all.
Any comments?
No, just and out. What Brian said is absolutely correct. We do have one of the most robust testing systems in the country. Some of the thresholds that we have to abide by here in terms of microbial activity and heavy metals, and there's a very, very long list of stuff that we test for, pesticides. It's as strenuous as anywhere in the country, and I would just caution anybody who is potentially also using hemp products that you can buy at gas stations now and a lot of other stores. Be very careful, because those things are most of the time not tested, and most of the tests that are done on them show very, very high levels of heavy metals and some other stuff that you probably shouldn't be ingesting. And it's a largely unregulated market that very much confuses people. And so I can't say strongly enough that if you are going to be a consumer, you really should be buying cannabis products through licensed dispensaries that have to comply with all the regulations that we do, because we're the ones that have the requirements on the way that we operate, that control quality, that control our testing standards, that control what dosing looks like. And we're very, very tightly regulated by the Department of Commerce in a way that the hemp industry simply is not. And some of the things that I've seen come out of test results of those products are in fact quite scary. So I would strongly suggest that when you're making purchasing decisions, stick to regulated dispensaries.
Any comments from this side? Any more comments about, staff readiness and testing?
You can't say that enough. I second what both of you said. We do have a good program. There's definitely some tweaks that we need to do here in Ohio, but you're absolutely right. It's not apples and oranges. It's if you're looking for the CBD products you're talking about, if you're looking for any products at all, you should absolutely be going to the dispensaries. I'll brag on you guys. All three of you guys have fantastic stores, right? There are great stores. They've got great people in the stores. Your budtenders are passionate. They show up to work. They're curious. They come down. We offer tours of our facility so that they can learn more about how we make the products.
That's great.
And they come down and learn that. So it's not fair if you're going to, if you got a guy and you're going to get in CBD. It's not even the same conversation if you go to their stores and sit down and talk with them and talk about how CBN can really help. So absolutely, keep going into dispensaries, and you can have complete confidence in the products you get. When I buy flower from Galenas, that flower goes out and gets tested, third-party tested. So we know exactly what's in there. We know he's got no pesticides in that. When we make our distillate, that distillate goes out and gets third-party tested. So now we know exactly what's in our distillate. Then when we go and make that distillate in the gummies goes out and gets tested. So when it ends up at your dispensaries and you show up to buy it, you know exactly what's in that package of gummies every single time. So now you can have confidence in knowing, okay, to your point, when you talk to the bud dealers, they sit there and tell you, start, slow and low, right? I tried a quarter of this, I had this reaction. I tried half of it, I had this reaction. I tried the full one, I had this reaction. At least now you have a chance at figuring out how this is going to work with you. So
It's hard.
Right.
that's correct. But you can do that if you shop at the dispensaries. If you go to Safeway and buy CBD gummies, good luck. And that's everybody in this, anyone, good luck.
It does have to contain THC. Yeah, but what we do have, because I'm a pharmacist also, and I work in pharmacy. The pharmacies are often now carrying CBD products, and they're more highly regulated, like Cardinal Health and McKesson, who are the distributors of those products. They are involved, and they're actually distributing them through their product line, so they're taking on that liability. So you do see those legitimate players that are in those markets, but the way Ohio has the rules, if it doesn't contain THC, then we are not allowed to sell it. Yeah.
There's a disconnect. Yeah.
Well, and that's where I recommend going to your pharmacies now. Most pharmacies are carrying CBD products.
Industry in the future. Hey, my name is Brendan, by the way. I'm coming here from Colorado. I've been in the industry for 10 years. So I see a future where Big Pharma is going to say, okay, we're going to come in and we're going to accept insurance, and they're going to take this guy from y'all because he's going to get all of his stuff cheaper, right? So how are we going to combat that type of thing in the future where they're going to come in? And is anybody really fighting for being able to take insurance? Because I talked to another vet over there, and my mom is somebody that got off of oxycodone because I own a CBD company and I'm trying to get my license here. But if I didn't pay for all of her CBD, she would still be on oxycodone because it's 10 times more expensive. So is there any of you guys getting together or regulatory parties trying to get insurance in Ohio? Because
it is being talked about. It's being talked about, but some of the issues still, it goes back to the federal side. And most insurance companies are regulated to some extent by the federal government. So this reclassification to a Schedule 6, yes, I do expect that. And, at the pharmacies, we pay for Tylenol, through Medicaid and Medicare. And it's probably more so on the Medicare side than it is the Medicaid, because Medicaid is state funded. But, it's still these hurdles. But, yes, it's being talked about. It's just that reclassification is a big hurdle to that. But as soon as that happens, then you're going to see these FHA programs, your cards. Once that gets into the FDA system, you're going to see that. But there you go. It gets into Big Pharma, and that.
Be careful what you wish for. It's Schedule 3. So switching from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 is actually going to have a huge impact. And, as an accountant, I'm super excited because it would do away with 280E, which makes this whole industry super burdensome for so many people to get into and sustain a healthy business model because of the taxes that are so burdensome. But we really don't know how it's going to roll out, what the timing's going to be. But this is definitely great news this week and very promising, especially in Ohio. You have a question back there?
Yeah, just to keep that.
Yeah.
Allow universities
to now do
Sir,
research.
right, which is great.
That's what anything on the insurance side is actually have federal government testing says, hey, 70% sleep. So now, as a bud tender, now you can't tell somebody, guaranteed this is going to make you sleep, guaranteed this is going to fix that. Like, you can't say that. You can say,
Yeah, you're not allowed to say.
it may help.
Right.
Other patients experience them, right? But
I think when I'm Steve,
Well, we're hoping that, it's going to transition over and that's going to go away slowly as people build more confidence. That's the hope.
Yeah, I think
I'm there here.
conscious, super health oriented. So they're going to spend $90 for a gram of live rosin. Everybody that I've been showing this to is like, oh, nobody in Ohio is going to buy that because it's too expensive. So I'm kind of like looking at this market. It's a lot bigger than Colorado was. But how are we going to help all these patients, and how are we going to stop Big Pharma from coming in and taking all these people who are in the black market? Because I see everybody sticking to the black market and then Big Pharma coming in, scooping them all up. And I'm asking how we can stop that from happening. How can we grow, actually get to all the black market people who would probably go with Big Pharma because, let's be honest, they just want the cheapest product.
Well, I mean, the best way is to open up more shops, to open it up to the recreational market, to have more availability, more supply, and people to trust this more than the black market. That's the way. And to advocate for insurance companies to help, but not take away those consumers, to pay for it if you go to a dispensary, not have Big Pharma take away from everybody. But we don't know what's going to happen with this rescheduling. We just don't know.
Yeah, well, all I was going to say is that the FDA is definitely going to get involved now that rescheduling is moving, and Big Pharma is definitely going to get involved, 100%. Right. But I think everyone needs to kind of take a step back and understand that Big Pharma is also not going to change their entire business model in order to sell flower through CVS or through Walgreens.
Right.
They're going to continue to pursue the channels of sales and distribution that they currently work through, meaning they're going to acquire, FDA approved studies. They require a lot of empirical evidence to demonstrate the efficacy of drugs that get developed using cannabinoids and maybe terpenes and maybe some of the other chemicals that show up in cannabis. And then those products are going to be distilled down into prescription medication that gets sold via doctor writing a prescription, and then you go into a pharmacy in order to fill it. I think it's very, very unlikely that, to pick a name, Pfizer is going to come out with a live rosin product. I think that's probably not going to happen. And so on the medical side of things, yes, there's going to be a chunk of the market that the large pharmaceutical companies end up absorbing. But on the adult use side of the market, I think it's much less likely. And the adult use side of the market now, as it currently exists, this won't be true going forward, but looking at existing states that have medical markets and AU markets standing side by side, the adult use market is like hundreds of percentages larger than the medical market. And it's not like it's twice as big. It's like in some states, it's like 10 times as large.
And by the time the pharmacies get into this, the infrastructure hopefully will be set up so that the black market starts to dissipate and all of these dispensaries will be to cater to adult use will be existing in Ohio. And the pharmaceutical companies, it's not for medical purposes, it's for adult use, will hopefully, it won't be able to bear, their control over them. So, all right, I want to get into a couple other questions because we have to wrap up fairly soon. But one thing that we didn't discuss is social equity. So after the medical dispensaries and the medical cultivators, get their licenses, they're going to open it up to social equity applicants. Do any of you guys, based on, what's gone on in other states, I mean, New York State is a debacle. Do you have any advice for social equity applicants? And what do you think like a good standard would be for Ohio to roll out the applications and the support system for social equity applicants? And why is it so important? Those are the things that I want you to, sort of touch on while we're here.
I would say social equity is absolutely welcome in this industry, in this space. And I would say to anybody who's looking to get in the space, just keep speaking up. Just keep speaking up. Social equity is great just because it brings variety. The industry is just so young, and variety is so welcome. I bet you if you asked every one of us what were we doing 5 years ago, we probably weren't doing this, right?
Right.
And we bring a different skill set to this industry every single time. And the industry needs it desperately. The industry's just got to mature so we can do a better job servicing everybody, right? Social equity helps with that also, just bringing those new eyes. I mean, that new thought, that new thinking to this industry. So I say to anybody who's interested, come on in. The water's warm. This is a great place to be. So I say, well,
come on in. The water's warm. I like that. Any other advice?
I think the social equity, it kind of brings it to the common man instead of wealthy billionaires being in this industry, and especially in Ohio. I grew up living from trailer to trailer, and went to the Air Force. Was able to get my college paid for, and then became a pharmacist, and then eventually into this space. So my journey's been different, but I still had to have a very, very large investor behind it. And I'm sure that Ohio will keep that to, I think some of that part is to make sure that you can sustain and keep your business rolling. So I think that, Ohio is trying to provide those opportunities with the social equity program. So I like it. I think it's good for us, and it does bring someone with talents. It gives them a chance to get into the space.
We just need to see the details of how the program's going to work, right? Right. We just don't know that yet. The key parts of it.
I would just say that you referenced one of the markets that has tried social equity in the past. Illinois had a rollout as well. I think Maryland has somewhat of a similar program, and that's state facilitated. I think that the one thing to note is learn from the other programs that have tried. And I think in a lot of ways, like the rules that are written for the Ohio program and every other adult use program, I don't know that there's always a great diagnosis of like how the operators take this versus how it can be governed versus how the consumer then receives the product. And I think like this is one of those instances where like there's a lot of learning curve that could be sped up by just seeing who's tried, where the ball has dropped, and where there have been great successes.
That's a great point. Yeah. Anything on this side about social equity and some advice, some observations?
Yeah, the only thing to add is that unfortunately in most markets, social equity licenses are notoriously slow to roll out. The state is often slow to issue those licenses, and then getting those businesses capitalized ends up taking way too much time. And so I think, if I was to generically give advice to anyone that is trying to or does get a social equity license, is that capitalizing any of these businesses is really challenging.
It is.
And that not to get discouraged because you have talked to 100 people and they've all laughed at you and said no. Because that's just how it is. It's a absolute grind in order to try to find investors. And it doesn't typically have anything to do with the fact that you happen to be a social equity applicant. It has to do with the fact that it's just very, very challenging to find investors. And so you end up with a license, just keep slugging it away. You'll eventually get there, but it's hard for everybody. And the fact that we are going to have a social equity program here in Ohio with licenses that come online hopefully sooner rather than later is a very positive thing. And the market in Ohio is going to be big enough for everybody.
All good points. Thank you.
I'm going to tell a little bit of a story here. Many moons ago, before I was into the marijuana industry, I owned a chain of video game stores. And as I was starting out on this, I thought, I don't know a lot about this. There's people who are doing this. I'm going to reach out to somebody many states away and just ask them some things that would help them. And they didn't want to talk to me. I reached out to other places. They did not want to talk to me. No one would help. And I stumbled through it and, made a go of that for a while. When I came into the marijuana industry, it does not feel like there's competitors. Literally, the two gentlemen at the other end of the table, when I was setting up a processing facility, which I had since sold, both of those companies, Ben & Leaves and Standard Wellness, invited us in to look at their processing facility. Don't do this because we did it wrong. We did this right. You might want to do this. If you're going this way, do that. And they literally gave us advice on how to set up our company. So like what Bill said, when he said the water is warm, he's not kidding. If you are coming into this industry, reach out to the people who are here. They'll want to help you. They'll sit down with you. They'll talk with you about this. It is obviously there's crunch times for people and sometimes they can't. But I would say the majority of the time, the people in this industry are just good people that want to help out other people. I think it's a great industry. I feel very lucky to be in it. So thank you.
I agree with you. It is definitely very collaborative. All right, last question, and then we'll wrap this up. I want to end on something very positive. So, does anyone, what are you feeling excited about? What do you feel good about in this market? What are the name, 2 or 3 things that you're looking forward to in the next, year to 5 years, and with a positive spin on it for this industry? So I'll start with you, Bill, over there.
Got it. For me, it's awareness. It's all about awareness. We've been grinding hard the last 3-4 years. Everybody up here we've been grinding hard, and it's shocking how many people have no idea any of this exists. So you talk to 10 people in Ohio, hey, where can I get cannabis? You can be standing right in front of a forest, and it's illegal. What are you talking about? So I look forward to the awareness and access to people, and just your story. It's shocking how many people can't sleep. I mean, it's absolutely shocking, and a CBN gummy will absolutely change your life. So I'm just looking forward to a lot more people just knowing what we're doing, and just knowing that these great products exist at all these stores. So it's going to be fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to just like awareness. Awareness is really important, but I think some of the things that have also held the program back are like, we've had a hard time putting the name dispensary on the outside of the forest, right? So somebody could drive by and say, "Hey, what is the forest?" Those are our stores. That's Standard Wallace's retail brand, and I'm looking forward to like removing some of that stigma through the awareness, and just bringing some sort of like relevance to this program as it continues on a national level. Like, the deschedulization is massive in that effort to start that process. Banking is to follow. And one of the major things that I didn't get to comment on is I come from healthcare research, actually, before my role in cannabis. And one of the things that really prevents insurance and all of these other large groups in pharma to take real notice of cannabis is trials and studies. And all of that money that comes to fund those things is typically from the federal government in some subsect, voted on by the House and Senate year over year, and who's in office matters for those things. And most of the research right now exists in Israel and Canada. And one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is that connects to 5 years. And it's not really a local piece, but having somebody be able to help you or quickly facilitate the conversation with the person that's educated enough to help someone like yourself, or anyone who walks in the shop. And in order to do that, we need to educate ourselves, and we need to remove some of the stigma that's associated with, smell, the word marijuana, the word cannabis, weed, like all of the concepts of this that have probably been, suppressing the powers of cannabis and its uses medically and socially and everywhere else. So, that's what I'm looking for.
Excellent points. Yeah. What are you looking forward to?
I guess the opportunities that the industry offers. I mean, it's a Klondike of new businesses and new revenues for our areas. I mean, I come from a very poor area that is highly Medicaid area, and I'm able to a guy was working at a car wash, and he had all kinds of creative talents. He's great with social media, and I was able to give him a job doing something he was very talented at, and you see these people's lives turn around. And before, he'd had a conviction. It wasn't anything bad, but it was marijuana related. And so now he's able to do what he loves, and it's not illegal. And and these people are intelligent. They're good people. But now there's an industry that's legal. So the opportunity that we have, I mean, this is it's exciting.
Yeah, that is great. That is a great point that we didn't bring up, is the opportunity, the expanded jobs, all of that is just tremendous to change people's lives, not just the actual plant itself, but all of the ancillary things that it's going to come after that is wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I kind of, in a big way, am excited about is the as this plant and as this industry gains more acceptance, the social benefits, and I mean that literally, the social benefits of it are going to be really real and palpable. And because what ends up happening typically in the recreational side is that people make decisions about substitutions that they make in their lives, adding cannabis and then subtracting typically alcohol, but sometimes other drugs as well. And the health consequences of that are like quantifiable. We're starting to really learn what that means from the standpoint of what health outcomes people are gaining by virtue of making some level of substitution with cannabis versus a bunch of other stuff that is worse for you. And so I think what, as a country, certainly as a state, but as a country, what will end up happening, we'll be able to put numbers to over the course of the next, say, 10 plus years to how much money did we save by fewer people going to the hospital or having chronic health conditions by virtue of them using a little bit more cannabis and a little less alcohol, or taking fewer pills, or taking fewer whatever. And that's going to be real. That's going to be a real, tangible, positive outcome, on top of vastly few people going to jail and people's lives not being ruined, and the list goes on and on. But the social consequences of finally legalizing and finally not having the stigma around this industry are going to extend into life in a lot of ways that I think we haven't really fully thought of. But the vast majority of it is positive. There's still going to be some negatives. I'm not going to sit here and act like there aren't downsides to using too much cannabis. There's downsides to doing too much, like literally everything. But the positives that were going to be achieved, I think, far outweigh the negatives. And so I'm excited to see all of the big ways and also all the little ways that we realize those positives in our just social life going forward.
That's great. Thank you.
What I'm excited about over the next however long this goes, that I'm in the industry, hopefully a long time, is the people, and the people. The employees that will get to help hopefully change their lives for the better, the patients that come in and have better lives, and the customers that we're going to be gaining that have another option to legally, safely partake with marijuana.
That's such a good way to wind this up. Yeah, so thank you, everybody. I think we're all excited. It was such a pleasure to lead this panel. You guys are all wonderful points. I'm excited for the Ohio market. And, let's just be positive and keep advocating, keep coming to the events, keep talking to your people, keep asking questions, and let's do this, right? All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. That was great.
That's
Yeah. Thank you.
We're gonna work this person.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching our discussion panel at the Ohio Cannabis Expo Canton. We're working on the next one. Make sure you share the video with all your friends and family who support the cannabis movement. Thank you again. Make sure you smash that like, subscribe button, and hit the notification bell for updates. And visit my website for my latest blog about SB 278. The fight ain't over yet. I'll see you on the next stream.